you very much for the great presentation, Dr. Abdullah. So I will give maximum three students who want to ask question to Dr. Yeah. Abdullah, please just raise your hand, or maybe you just type your question on the chat box. Come on.
Any question, yeah? Even if you want to ask me a personal question, also it's okay. If you want to ask me things like how to get a job and whatever, whatever. It doesn't just have to be here. But if it's something about this one, also cool. So I'm taking 3 questions. Come on, it's not an easy thing to have me here.
Yeah, that's right. Come on, guys. Come on, please raise your hand. Okay, we have here Dwi Anggara Putri. Is speaking also important in academic writing? Okay.
Okay, yep.
We have a question from Dwi Anggara, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. So the question by Dwi Anggara is speaking also important in academic writing? Okay. Very good question. And I will answer this. No, it's not important in academic writing because it's writing. However, it's important in academic communication. Now, why is speaking important in academic? I mean, it's not important in academic writing because you can't hear me right. But it's important in academic communication. Now, my specialty is actually in training, in teaching and training speaking. So it's very, very important because one of the things that you will need to do in the academic world is you will need to present. Always, you're going to need to present. Right now, even you present to your class, you present to your friends, you present to your lecturers, but in the future, as an academic, you're going to need to present in conferences. You're going to need to share your research. You're going to need to persuade other people. You're going to need to say, hey, this is my research and this is what I did and these are the results and this is why I think this is very good to do. Somebody's going to say something like, you did that, but that person did this. How do you explain that? And you're going to go, if you don't know how to speak. So you need to be able to speak well in order for you to be understood. Remember, the goal of communication is understanding. The other person needs to understand what is in your head. If you are successful, they will understand exactly what is in here. If not, then they will not understand. So if you are convinced of something and you need to tell people something, then you tell them through writing and you tell them through speaking. And the answer is yes, speaking is equally important as writing, and sometimes even more important because people may see speaking first. If they meet you, they see you first, they hear you first, and if you sound or if you have your grammar is all over the place, then they're going to go, ugh. And this is the thing, guys, it's very sad, but people judge you on your language. They shouldn't. But the thing is, sometimes you have clever people, but their language isn't so good. Unfortunately, first impressions count. Your first impression, if you are writing an email, then okay, that's for writing. But if it's face-to-face, the first impression is your spoken language. So yes, it's very important. Okay, so next question is how to learn academic writing online, always from home. What effect for students face-to-face versus online? Okay, very interesting question. Now, I'm going to tell you one thing. Academic writing is easier to learn online than in class.
Yeah.
Why? Because when you write, basically all you need is you need a keyboard, or you need a screen, or you need a pen, paper, whatever. You need your screen there, and you can engage, because in writing you don't need to be personally present. Of course, it's always good if you can have the teacher beside you or in front of you. But when we talk about writing, even if your teacher is just a Zoom call away, your mode is writing. However, when you talk about the ideal situation, then I would say ideally it should be face-to-face, ideally. However, if you're talking about writing, it's okay to learn writing on via Zoom. However, it's a bit more difficult to learn speaking via Zoom. And because in speaking, you don't just have words, you have body language, there are so many other things which are involved. Do I like virtual engagements? It's okay. I'm okay. I'm used to it. But do I think that face-to-face is better? Yes, definitely. As you can see my style of teaching on Zoom is the way I teach in class. I don't just go, ladies and gentlemen, today you're going to learn about academic writing, and then, okay, now this one is this one is that. Boring. My classes are not like that. In my class, it's boom, boom. I ask you, if you sleep, yeah, you can't sleep in my class. So you've got to be active, and personally, I prefer a face-to-face, but online is okay for the moment. Okay, Buhardenti says, may I have a copy of the slide? Yes, I will give you the copy after this.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Please send me the, send your email, and then I will send it there. You can send
Committee
it to me
will
via...
send it to the participants. You may just send your the copy of your slide to the single email. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you in PDF form. So
yeah.
you can read through the as a PDF. Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay, sir. Actually, sorry. What about the others? Still one chance to over question, please.
One more question. One more question.
Come on. If you prefer to ask directly or on a chat box, it's up to you, please. Before I use that chance.
Okay,
Okay.
Bintang
I
Amanda
have here
says,
Bintang. Yeah,
how
okay.
to make writing less boring and be a fun activity to do. Very interesting question, because writing can be boring. Now, this is based on my own experience, and this is how I'm going to answer it. You've got to check your why. Why are you writing? Everything comes down to why, because that will set your motivation. So if your writing is, if you are looking at writing as a means to better yourself, then the pleasure that you can get will be in learning and then seeing. This is what you do, yeah? You have a look at the old piece of writing, have a look at the later refined piece of writing, look at the difference, and you go like, oh man, wow, I used to be bad, but now I'm pretty good. Like, wow, there's pleasure in that. Remember I told you the story about me when I was doing my my first degree, when I was doing my scriptsy, and I cried, and then I said, oh, it's the hardest thing I ever had to do. And then I did my master's, and then I looked at my scriptsy and I laughed, and I said, ha ha ha, that was easy. Why did I think that was difficult? And then when I was doing my master's, I cried. And then after that, when I did my PhD, I cried. And then I looked at my masters, I laughed and said, ha, 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 what did I do? Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. So for me, when I read my writing, I get pleasure in that, because I can see how much I have improved. So question yourself, why are you writing? Find something to write for. Start writing, and you don't have to start writing in a journal. Find something interesting, like a blog. Yeah, practice writing through a blog. Write for a magazine. Write for anything. And when you write, you can. There's always pleasure in getting people's responses. So these are some of the ways in which I think you can make writing less boring, I hope. Okay, last one. Fira. Fira says, do we need attractive words to gain reader interest? Okay, very good question. Should you use all these big bombastic words? Boom, 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 boom. Whoa! You want to say those words also, you know, lidah pun macam, you don't know how to say it. Answer is yes and no. Yes and no. Well, yes as in find some nice words, learn the words, practice the words, use them many times until they become part of you, then you can use them. Don't use them just to sound clever. If you use the words to sound clever, then your writing will sound very like you read it and it becomes you know, like you touch the paper and you go people will know when the words are pretentious. Wow. So my advice is, if there is a word that is simple or simpler, use the simpler word. Don't try to write to impress. Learn to write to express. So when you write, you express yourself. You don't write to impress other people. When you write to impress other people, mulalah nak keluar all these words. I'm so good. Look at me. I can use big words. Don't do that. I hope I've answered the question. Okay, Bo, back to you.
Yes, thank you very much for the questions and also the great answers from Dr. Abdullah. So here I'd like to read some of the summary of our talk today. That we have some of the points related to academic writing. I'm sorry to Elvira, because it's been enough for the asking any questions. So maybe we will talk about it later, yeah, outside of the classroom. Sorry, outside of this Zoom meeting. Well, today we have already talked and listened to the explanation of Dr. Abdullah related to how we can differentiate between academic writing and general writing, about the purpose, about the why, to check our why to write, to show, to help us to find the way we do our writing. And then also there is the material of in-text citations to help us avoid the plagiarism, and also how we use consistency in using such as like British English or American English. Yeah, we can use it as long as we consistent in our writing, and also the importance of proof our writing. Yes. So at the end of this main session, I'd like Mr. Abdullah, Dr. Abdullah, to please give like a short final word for us, like, you know, it can be motivation or like message for us before we separate, yeah, in this virtual meeting. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Thank you very much, Bu Hardianti. Now, these are some of the things that I'd like to pass on to you. The first one is, you never give up. I know that that's cliche. I know that you hear that all the time, but it's very, very true. There will be times when you want to stop studying. seriously. There will be times when things are going to be so hard. All I want to say to that is don't give up. No matter if you're first year, second year, third year, fourth year, especially when you're in your fourth year, because that's the final step. Just stick through that, push through it, keep on learning, because one day, I promise you, it will get better. And then one of the other things as well is never be afraid to make mistakes, especially when you are learning language. One of the most important things, you know how I learned language? I used to be able to speak, do you know that I used to be able to speak Indonesian? Like real Indonesian. I had a Jakarta accent a long time ago. You know, I talk with my friends like gue, lo, temen-temen, you know, all those words that we used to use. Yeah, I used to be able to speak with Jakarta accent as well, which I learned from friends actually. I had Indonesian friends while I was studying overseas in Kuwait. I used to speak very good Arabic as well with a Kuwaiti accent. I speak. I used to speak English with a. I used to speak English with a very British accent. Remember, I said I was born and raised overseas, but when I came back to Malaysia, people said, you know, he wants to be British, kulit warna coklat, orang putih, you know. So I had to learn how to speak, you know, with the Malay way, which is not cool. But even then, even with the British accent, I could speak 3 types of different dialects of English. I could, in Malay, I could speak about 4 different dialects of Malay. So what I'm trying to say here is that I used to not be afraid to learn language. And that's why I could speak many languages. I used to learn French. I used to learn Italian, parla italiano. So I went to Italy with my cousin quite some time back as well. So we learned all this, and I did not. I wasn't afraid to make mistakes, so I learned the language. However, when I came back to Malaysia, you know, I've been back in Malaysia for 20 years now, more than 20 years. I lose the language because I don't use it. And then when I want to learn it again with my Arab friends, I feel very self-conscious now because I'm, you know, lecturer, doctor. You know, when you think like that, you think, oh, malu lah, you know, like I'm the teacher, the student, and then you don't want to look stupid. That's when it becomes hard for you to learn language. So I know this personally. So the two main messages that I want to give to every one of my adik-adik here is, number 1, don't give up. No matter how hard it is, don't give up. There is a way, inshallah, Allah will help. And number 2, when you're learning a language, jangan malu untuk membuat kesilapan. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes are part of learning. The more mistakes you make, the more you remember, the more you learn. So those are the two things, Bu Hardianti. I'm hoping that those words help with the students here. And remember, you have ways to contact me. One of the things that I have to tell you though, if you contact me, you may have to wait a long time for a reply. My job, I mean, you ask Yusnyanti. She had to wait a long time for me to reply, simply because my job is crazy. But you have ways to contact me. You have ways to follow me on socials, on YouTube. I hope to see you guys around, and I hope, inshallah, maybe hopefully one day to see you face to face. Yeah. Okay, Bu, back to you.
Okay, thank you very much. And yeah, we are very grateful and so thankful for your acceptance of our invitation. And we are also sorry to disturb your time. Yeah,
No
to keep
problem,
contacting
no
you.
problem.
Yeah, we are really sorry for that. Yeah, especially Mrs. Yustisne that I've been too busy to contact Dr. Abdullah from the last
No problem, no
yeah,
problem.
okay. So we are very grateful for that. And also, before I return it back to the head of English education study program, I'd like to, take picture, yeah, together.
Yep.
Okay. So what about? Yeah, okay. Let me count until 3. Yeah, please turn on the camera of your video. Come on. Okay. Camera, please.
Satu, dua, tiga.
One more.
Lagi.
Okay, one more. Okay.
Satu, dua, tiga. Again.
What? Again? Okay, okay. Yeah, one more.
Dua kali lagi.
One more. Okay.
Twice.
Slide ketiga. Satu, dua, tiga. Last. Satu, dua, tiga. Oke, thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. I return it back to the head of English education. Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ma'am Mukmin, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Dianti. Yeah, finally we get to the last session that is closing. Yeah, thank you, sir, Muhammad Abdullah and Abdullah Muhammad Nawawi for your great explanation. Yeah, new knowledge for our students here. Yeah, thank you. Director of Muhammadiyah Lund University for your opening speech. Yeah, what you have conduct will useful for us. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if Ma'am Hardianti opening the discussion with a poem, let me close this lecture with a poem as well. Yeah. Pucuk pauh delima batu, anak sembilang di tapak tangan. Walau jauh di negeri satu, hilang di mata, di hati jangan.
Masya Allah. Lovely. Terima kasih. Thank you.
By saying Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin, this international guest lecture officially closed. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.